let's go back in time and take a look at through the years the big-time players that were traded, and did it matter or not? Did they get a great player? So start off with, we'll go back to Randy Johnson. I called this up. Randy Johnson, 1998, monstrous acquisition by Houston from Seattle. Freddie Garcia, Carlos Guillen, John Halama. So that's a big yield. Curt Schilling, though, in 2000, again, he goes by Arizona. He led to a World Series championship there. Not as much. Omar Dahl, Nelson Figueroa, Travis Lee, Vicente Padilla, not as much. So again, you don't know, but occasionally Guillen, who would become an outstanding player, Garcia, a good starter, that really mattered. But again, Randy Johnson was a monster. How about the Kansas City Royals 2015? This was the finishing touches that they did. We're not even talking about the James Shields trade, right, for Will Myers. But Johnny Cueto, acquired by Kansas City from Cincinnati for 3 players. Brandon Finnegan is the significant guy there. For Ben Zobrist, and this becomes kind of just a fair trade. Kansas City and Oakland, they do this deal. Aaron Brooks, Sean Manaea, who's still a good pitcher, but Ben Zobrist, of course, was outstanding for Kansas City, led to a title. But I often say, if you have to win a World Series to make the trade worth it, it's not worth it. You can't be thinking that way. Which brings us to the Cubs, 2016 and 2017. Aroldis Chapman, Gleyber Torres was in that deal. Aroldis Chapman, they put the finishing touches. It did result in a World Series championship. The next year, they went out for Jose Quintana, and included there is Eloy Jimenez, Yikes, and Dylan Cease. So where are we, John Heyman? You start on again, Joel brought it up before that. Like, we can't trade picks. You can't. You're like, no, you can. Yeah. This is an established player. Where's the industry now?
I'll take the Chapman and trade and the Royals trades because they won the World Series. That's
but you don't know that at the time,
I know.
John. Yeah.
I agree. I think we've overvalued prospects, and I think now the new system where you got 12 teams getting in instead of 10 teams, I think that's helped in terms of now more teams are buyers, and that means that there's more competition to get the top players who are for sale, and more prospects will be traded. And I think we are seeing that now with the Hader trade, and particularly with the Castillo trade. And I think it's a correction that's probably needed. We overvalued prospects. There was no prospect in any of those trades that became, Randy Johnson or Beltran or a star player like that. They were good players. Carlos Guillen's a good player, but if you got a shot at winning the World Series, I'd give up these prospects.
Right. Now, when the smart young whippersnapper GM started to take over, that's when they're like, these guys don't realize how valuable these prospects are or these draft picks are. Have we seen a bit of a correction from that philosophy?
So I think one of the reasons they sell the prospects is that's the way you get to keep your job. You promise tomorrow all the time, right? I know this is the good organizations have all lost very valuable prospects. You know what they do? They go get more prospects. You know what's hard to find on the market? Curt Schilling, Randy Johnson. Aroldis Chapman helped the Cubs win their first World Series in over a century. Like, I look at this. The Yankees have made a ton of trades over the last 20-odd years, 30 years, right? Right now, like, we always hear about their great prospects. Aaron Judge is their best hitter developed by the Yankees system, from soup to nuts, drafted or signed as a foreign international free agent. Who's the second? It's Jorge Mateo, the shortstop on Baltimore, or Tyro Estrada, the second. The idea that like Jesus Montero hasn't played since 2015, he's only 32. Like, these guys get built up. It's hard to be a difference-making major leaguer. There's probably 50, 75, 100. The idea that you have 6 or 7 of them in your organization is ludicrous. Right? Like you know what you don't have in your system? Juan Soto. Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling. Like, if you make a mistake, the Dodgers traded Yordan Alvarez for Josh Field. They got more prospects, right? Like, we had Josh Hader up there. Right. The Astros traded Josh Hader for Carlos Gomez. You know what they did? They got more prospects. That's your job of your system. Go get more. What's hard to get is Josh Hader. Right.
Well put. Although, again, teams like the Dodgers or Cardinals are drafting and developing better than most teams, others, right?
Then go get guys who know what they're doing and do it.
It's a good point. Yes?
There was a time where the Yankees were known for giving away throughout the 80s, right? I mean, there's the Seinfeld episode. Who was the guy? Jay Buhner. There were a lot of guys like that, right? They became much better at it. I think in the Stick Michael era, they didn't give away, and they got offers for starting with Bernie Williams, but all of these guys, Rivera, Posada, you name them. I don't think anybody was bold enough to ask for Jeter, but they got offers on all of them, and they held on to all of them. You have to know which guys to hold on to. That's probably the key, the greatest key to an organization. who of your guys are going to be stars?
But the Yankees have said no on certain guys for like Cliff Lee, Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole that might have been championships. And I bet you the guys they held on to didn't turn into anything.
Okay. That's what Frank Costanza was saying. When we come back.